Do Birria Tacos. So birria is kind of like a Mexican stew, and normally a lot of folks, Mexicans, they make it like a stew but with a lot of juice, like a consomme they call it, okay? But today or tonight we're just doing the birria and the tacos. And we're going to get started in just a moment. Okay folks, the first thing we got to deal with is these peppers. Now, I've got 4 guajillo peppers, I've got 2 pasilla, and I've got 2 chili arbol. These are a little spicy, but they're not that spicy. And how you deal with these, because I'm doing them over a plate. So normally the chilies, I know you might not want something that's that hot, but it's not really that hot. So in the bowl they go. Next, I'm using scissors just because it's easier to break them apart. And I got to cut them and get the seeds out. That's the first thing you got to do. I mean, you can leave them in, but you know, it's going to be pretty spicy. So look at that, see? That's what comes out. It's the same as like a jalapeno. You take the seeds out if you don't want it to be too hot. If you want it to be really hot, you leave the seeds and that membrane in. Okay, in this particular case, okay, a couple seeds, big deal, no big deal. Okay, so we got to go through these. I know it's a pain in the butt, but what I deal with around here is Nostalgia Latin Market. And Nostalgia Latin Market has all the dried peppers you're going to need, all the dried chilies you're going to need. And you can order them online as well and go and pick them up. Or they'll deliver them. Either way. Okay, so there's the pasillas. These other ones, these are called guajillos. Okay, so these ones, they're not that spicy, you know, but they all add to the richness of this recipe. And look at all the seeds that are coming out. I know it's a pain, and probably some of you haven't seen these before going, what the heck, where did he get those things? Well, like I said, I usually go to this store, but in times of lockdown now, who knows? But you can order them online. You know, you can even order them on Amazon, for God's sake. You know, they all got them, and you get them within, I don't know, whatever the delivery time is, a couple days normally, you know. But they look like, oh my God, what are those things? Okay, I know they're dry, but here's what we're going to do with them. What you got to do with these is rehydrate them. And to rehydrate them, I'm going to do it right now. So what I'm going to do is, man, these things are going to make me sneeze. Okay, so what we're going to do right now, I took the cheap method, quick method, and I boiled water. So you put boiling water over just to cover. Just make sure they're covered. There's lots of water in there. Put the lid on so they're nice and tight. And they're good to go. Now, the next thing that we're going to deal with is the meat. So, the meat that I'm using here, normally birria is made with either, well, you can do it with lamb. A lot of people don't like lamb. Goat, which I'm going to do one on goat. But right now, I'm doing beef. And actually, the beef I have, hold on a second. I got those 2 monsters, which are short ribs. I've got another one I'm going to show you in a minute. Now, these ones here, all I'm going to do is put, and this is avocado oil. And avocado oil you can get in every grocery store. You know, just wipe them down. Bone part on the bottom, it's flavor. The fat it's flavor. Okay? So all this stuff is flavor. Is a little bit of salt. Make sure they're seasoned well. Olive or avocado oil. I'm using avocado oil because avocado oil does really well with high heat. Okay, so while those chili peppers, put it down a notch, while those chili peppers are snuggling in there, we're going to brown the meat. Taking forever. Now, this other piece of meat I got is shank. And the only reason I'm using this is just to give it a little bit more flavor. That's all, because as you can see right here, it's got that bone and it's got a little bit of the marrow in it. Okay? I'm just going to cut this up so I can sear this as well. And you don't have to be fancy with it. Just cut it because it's basically going to melt. Okay? Because this whole recipe, it's going to go in for like 3 hours. I'm going to give it flavor on the bottom. I'm going to show you how to get rid of that stuff that's stuck on the bottom. You might think, oh my God, I burnt it and all that kind of stuff. Well, you didn't burn it. Because that stuff on the bottom, it's stuck there. I'm not a chef or anything. I'm not trained in anything, but it's called fond. Okay? So that fond is just a residual from searing the meat and its flavor. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to get rid of that in a second. I'm going to go through in a minute. Okay, we're going to put, this is basically one large onion. Just dump it in. Mix it around, and the onions are going to sweat a bit. That's going to help take away some of that brown bits on the bottom. But you got to wash your hands every 10 seconds. It's ridiculous. But you got to do it. So once that's done, which is about right now, garlic. I know it looks like a lot. This is 5 cloves of garlic. Don't burn. Okay, all you want to do is just mix them around until you smell. And once it gets fragrant like that, the next thing you're going to add, I got about 4 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. What that's going to do, that's going to take, look at that, right away it's already taken it off the bottom. It's going to take all those brown bits off the bottom and just give it that little bite. Once that's done, which is about right now, take the meat, dump it back in. Okay, you want to make sure just separate it all. And the juice that was on the plate, make sure you put it in, because again, it's flavor. Okay, so mix them around, make sure they're all down there, mixing with the onions, the garlic. Right now, we cut the heat. Okay guys, our little dried chilies, they're soft, ready to go. So what you do, you can use a food processor if you want. I'm just using a blender. Whatever you got. Reason why I'm using a blender is that the speed is better to crush up the chilies. I'm going to show you why in a second. But keep the chili water just in case. Here you go. Okay, first thing you do, on top of those, take 2 cups of chicken broth, which I made up, and you can make it just from that chicken bouillon and boiling water. That's all I did. Then you take, I got a 28-ounce can. Of San Marzano tomatoes. Oh man, this is going to be tight. Okay? Now, a lot of times, if you're looking for recipes, they're going to tell you, just use a can of, you know, crushed tomatoes or chopped tomatoes and put it in, which is fine. Okay, but San Marzano just gives it that better taste. So, clean, new salt, teaspoon of salt, pepper. I just hope this is not going to go over. Okay, so half a teaspoon of cloves. You got a teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and you've got, I'm mixing it up. You're supposed to put it in your hand, which, see if I can get it all in. This is a tablespoon of oregano, but it's Mexican oregano. Okay? And you can get that at the same place, this Nostalgia Latin Market or any other type of Mexican market. There's a couple around. All you got to do is Google it. Put the lid on, and I hope it doesn't go over. I'm going to pulse it a couple times. I hope it doesn't come up. Okay, so just until everything gets blended in there. Ooh. Another couple of pulses. And it's ready. Okay? Now, with that, you're going to take it and pour it right into your meat. Now, some people use this, a strainer. Okay? So depending on your blender, okay, you just pour it in right over top of the meat. Now, the only issue with this is that when you're straining it, you got to mix it around. And the only reason you're doing that is because some of the chilies, the outside on them, the skin on them, is a little bit, sometimes, you know, if it gets in there, it's like a little bit, I don't know, crunchy or whatever you want to call it. See, there's not much in mine at all. Okay, so I'm just dumping mine in. There's next to nothing in here. And I don't mind a little bit, but there's next to nothing in here. Okay, so put that in there. Dump the rest in, long as you cover the meat. Okay, and if it's not quite covered, well, it should be about 3/4 covered, but anyways. The worst, you want to make it thicker, you can put in a little bit of tomato paste. That's what you can do. Check it after about 1.5 to 2 hours. If you need some in, put some in. If you need a little bit more liquid, put some broth, put some water, whatever. Now, you're going to put that in the oven at 350 for about 3 hours. So, nice, thick, rich. Okay, there it is right there. Okay, so what I got to do next is take the meat out. There we go. Well, that's kind of big, but anyways. There we go. Okay, so there we go. I've heated it up. Now, I gotta cut the meat, and I'm gonna do the tacos. And look at that. Just pull it apart with a fork. Now, I had to add just a tiny bit. I added a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. Just because I had a lot more liquid than I wanted, but that's okay, it's fine right now. Okay, and normally in Mexico they'll chop it all up and cut it all up and either that, but I'm pulling it apart just with a knife and fork here. So what I'm going to do next, because inside is some of that juice. A couple tacos. These are street tacos. Okay. And I'm going to take it. I'm going to dip them in the oil just for a sec. Well, sometimes they come apart. I should know this by now, but I don't. There you go. Now, I actually took out some oil before. Just a little bit. Get them a little bit crispy. And they're going to bubble up a little bit. So once they start, it's pliable. Here it is. Take some cheese. I got a mixture. I got mozzarella. And I got Swiss. Only because I ran out of the other cheese I was using. So you can either use Monterey Jack, or you can use, if you can get it, you can use Oaxaca cheese. Okay? So that's starting to melt and crisp up. And just a little bit more. Okay, and then put the meat on it. And once you put the meat on it, this short rib smells amazing. Okay, so once you put the meat on it, you fold it over. I know that one's broken, but you fold it over, let it get crisp. And these are street taco size, so they're not, you know, they're not big tortillas. They're street taco size. So, add just a touch more oil. A little bit there. A little bit there. Just let them crisp just for a sec. Once they're done, flip them. That's exactly what you want. Okay, so you can flip it back over, get it crispy, And it's a cast iron fry pan, which sometimes aren't the easiest to work with, but just get it a little bit crispy. And once it's crispy, we're going to put it on a plate. There we go. Okay? So once it's on the plate, you're going to open up this little guy like that. Look at the cheese all melted. You're going to put a little bit of onion, a little bit of cilantro, and just a little bit, squeeze a lime. Just a little bit on there. And that's your taco. That's a birria taco. Put it in there. Gotta take a bite. Cheesy. Juicy. You can put a little bit more sauce in here. Keeps the meat a little juicy. If the meat's on the taco there, put the juice on it. It'll keep it juicy. And you're done. Okay? So, that's a birria taco. I know it took a while, but it's worth it. Once it's done, you're going to love it. There you go. Nice, tender. Now, you can use one of the meats I mentioned before. You know what? If you can't find anything, stewing beef will work. Okay, you might have to cook it a little bit longer, but stewing beef will work. Guys, that's the birria taco. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and if you like it, hit the like button. We'll see you next time.